I'd hoped to be on 1. I advertised that I was going to be here at 1, and I did not make it here at 1. But it's not too late. According to my desktop, which I think is like 4 or 5 minutes slow, it's 1:10. I think it's about 1:05. So I apologize for anyone who was waiting. I don't think anyone was waiting, but I apologize nonetheless. Um, Another thing that was advertised um, was we're going to talk about yoga, which should not be a surprise to anyone. No matter what the topic, I have a tendency to tie it to yoga. But my good friend, Destiny Forever Walks PhD, put out a wonderful and beautiful video on yoga, on hybrid yoga, thanking me um, for helping to make that connection. No thanks necessary. The connection was already there, but um, I certainly do appreciate the fact that she put that out there. My brand new friend, Jeremy and Cheryl Cruise Adventures, says, "Hey, how are you?" And Kay Renee's Garden says, "Hey, Yogi. Hey, how are you guys? Really appreciate you being here." Um, Jeremy, I know I actually just subscribed to you, happily so. I also have you up and playing on a window. I have a couple people up and playing. You know what? I absolutely love Mayhem site. Out of all the sites where you get to make these connections, it is definitely one of my favorites because of the energy there. Um, I want to dive in whenever I'm there, and I see people like you guys. Um, and the channels are always so positive and so beautiful and so full of love. I want to dive in and help. What an amazing, what an amazing thing um, to invoke that kind of service. So I talked about in my title, let's talk about yoga. Um, let's start with that, helping each other, being of service. Um, in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the holy books of yoga, um, it is a conversation between Arjuna, the prince, and Krishna, who is masquerading as his charioteer, the guy who drives the chariot, and he is giving Arjuna sage advice. Cruising is fun anytime is here. Hey everyone. Appreciate you being here too. And I have you up and running as well. I have like 4 windows. I got my desktop up, and I have 4 windows up playing. Um, so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives Arjuna 4 paths of yoga. And one of those paths, my favorite, is karma yoga. Now, we think of karma typically in the Western world as punishment, retribution, justice served. But more truly, karma simply means in Sanskrit language, sorry, I don't mean to make anyone dizzy, joggling my stuff around. Karma simply means action. It means motion. And more specifically, it means motion done for the service of others. It means everything is surrendered. That service is surrendered to God. You are doing God's work by serving other people. Whatever your concept of God is, it's all valid. It's all good. Because we are serving each other and we were all created from the same source. So, hey, the Jay Jordan is here. For guys who aren't friends with the Jay Jordan, if you want to see an amazing channel, someone who puts it all out there, who gives relentlessly, go visit the Jay Jordan. I wish I had the capability to drop links. I don't know how to do it, but hey, my friend Tokyo is here as well. Yogi, how are you, my brother? I hope all is well, my friend. All is well. So when I go to Mayhem's channel, I'm stepping into the presence of a karma yogi, someone who is being there to be of service to other people. Um, and she has certainly been of service to me. Um, and she inspires me. She inspires me to have you guys up and running on my desktop, to be of service, to help other people. 420 came by and helped me yesterday. I mentioned that I'm in need of watch hours. I am doing my best to get monetized. Um, I have the subscribers. I don't yet have the watch hours. The J Jordan says I have to set up a Nightbot. I'm going to have to look that up. I see it. I don't know what it is. There's so much to learn, and I have such a technical deficit. Everything, as soon as I'll give you an example. My favorite line from the book, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, where they're talking about the difference between being a technical writer in the United States and a technical writer in Japan. In the United States or the Western world, if you're trying to assemble, let's say, a bike, and you take it out and you see the instructions and it says insert part A and part B and tighten lug nut C, everything is extremely dry, technical, and I lose it. Just doesn't register in my mind. And the way it used to be, at least in Japan, when you pulled out the instruction manual, it would say, before assembling your bike, please achieve peace of mind. That's the difference. How we approach it, how we approach everything. It is what it is here, Lewis. And Lewis's shirtless burpee partner in crime, the J Jordan, is here. The dynamic duo here in person. Let's see, make sure I got everyone. Tokyo says, glad to hear it, bud. Hey, you guys are really growing on your channel, by the way. I noticed it was just 2-3 days ago celebrating 100, and now it's what, 250? Absolutely amazing. Love to see that growth. Tokyo says, hey, talk to Oracle. He will let you know how to get Nightbot. It'll help with links for you. He did it for Smitty. I definitely will. Thanks. Lewis says it's like throwing gasoline on the fire. Hey, that's what we're here for, man. You got to have the gasoline on the fire. You guys don't need it. You guys are, you're lit from the very beginning. Cruiser says, need Nightbot help. Jeremy can help you. Contact us after the show. I will. Because I know nothing about it at all. But if it's a way to help you guys connect, then I'm all for it. Toki says, yes, sir. He's drowning quick. Absolutely amazing. Hey, and Brian Lane is here. Sorry I missed you. Yo, hello, guys. Hope you're having a blessed day. Thanks, Brian. Hope you are as well. And my good friend Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, is here. Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, is my soul sister. My yogi inspiration. Cruisin says, we love Nightbot. Like I said, I see it displayed, but I really know nothing about it. But I love the thought of being able to drop links, or at least having other people being able to drop links, drop their own links, would be awesome. So, yep, when I visit Mayhem site, not only is everyone there helping each other, but she's inspiring everyone to help each other. Man, I got awesome people in this chat, and a lot of it has to do with mayhem, and a lot of it has to do with James Guy, another one who just really helps people connect. Absolutely amazing. So I mentioned 4 paths of yoga as outlined by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and I talked about karma yoga. Karma yoga being the path of selfless service. I absolutely love that, the whole description. Being of service, being of help. Having that as your life mantra. How may I serve? How may I serve? How may I serve? Each and every moment, there's an opportunity. How may I serve? It can be as simple as a smile for someone. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone. I'm always reminded, our friend Odom's Homestead is here. Hey, Odom. I'm always reminded by the interview with Mother Teresa when she was asked, how can you show up every single day and do what you do? How can you help the people in the worst condition, children suffering leprosy, and not break, not have your heart completely break open? And her answer was that she sees Jesus in all of his distressing disguises, meaning she sees the face of God. She sees the face of Jesus in every child that she helps. So how do you turn that away? That's karma yoga. You don't have to pick a path. Sometimes it feels like we're assigned a path, that I am a karma yoga because it's just my nature to serve. Or another path is bhakti yoga, which is, bhakti sort of translates to devotion, devotional joy. This is when we surrender joyfully to God, the God of your vision, the God of your heart, I think is a better way of saying it. Because if God is not expressed in your heart, then you're not in worship to the true God. God is found in the heart. And that's how you proceed in life. Simply asking your heart, how do I proceed? Where do I go? How do I serve? How do I help? And give yourself to that. And then you are on the path of being in the Bhakti yoga. That's Bhakti, Bhakti. There's the 2 paths of yoga. The third, jnana yoga. Jnana means wisdom, but it's not the wisdom that we gain through age. It's not the wisdom we get in a book. It ties back to the heart. It's the innate wisdom of who and what we are. It's the innate wisdom of life itself. And we tune into it. We surrender to that. It's almost like we're downloading the information from the universe. We're hearing the voice of God through every aspect of life. We're hearing the voice of God whisper through the trees, and the song of a bird, and the babbling of a stream, all of it. This is how the ancient yogis, the ancient rishis, heard the mantras that are the Sanskrit mantras that are repeated, like Om Namah Shivaya. These are the primordial sounds of the universe itself. Everything beginning with the vibration Om. And Sanskrit mantras aren't known for their meaning, they're known for their vibration. So, I'm missing some of the comments as I go off in a spiel. So, if I'm missing something and you need to get my attention, just type it again and scream at me. Hey, Eric, pay attention. So, that was 3. Sorry, my cat is here. And the 4th, Raja Yoga, which can be translated to the royal path of yoga. Some might say it's the king or the queen of all yoga practices. And it sort of contains everything. Patanjali, who the father of yoga, of modern yoga, 2,000 plus years ago, wrote the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, outlined the path. He called it Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga meaning 8. because it's 8 limbs, 8 branches of yoga. Of all these 8 branches, one of them, asanas, postures, that's the one everyone focuses on. And this is the one that with Destiny, when she had her yoga teacher, her yoga class, sort of misconstructed all of yoga by focusing just on the poses, just on the postures. And what a disservice to yoga itself. Yoga, the word yoga, means yoke. And that's how we actually got the word yoke. It means union. And the union is already here, already takes place. We are united with God. We're not separate in any way. We're united with the universe. We're united with life. Yoga is simply the realization of that union. Yoga takes away all the things, all the thoughts, all the beliefs, all the opinions that stand in our way from that realization. So in a minute, I'll talk about the 8 branches. Let's see. Brian says, Eric, do you ever like doing breath work that has shorter breath holds, maybe 30 seconds? I find 30 to 40 seconds ones help me enjoy every moment present. I do. When I do my breath of fire in the morning, I have 20-second breath holds. When I do my breath of fire followed by alternate nostril breathing in my later morning yoga nidra session, I work up to, I do 20, 25, 30. I don't do real long breath holds myself. It's just not conductive for my own style, I should say. The longest breath hold I do is 30 seconds. Maybe occasionally I might go up to 40. But you can certainly work up to it. You can do the kumbhak breathing, which is the breathing in for count of 4 through the nose, retaining the breath. And you can do it for 4, you can do it for 8, you can do it for 12, you can do it for 16. I think you can work your way up really almost to a minute. And then you exhale for a count of 8, and then you hold external hold, which is after you release the breath, and you do a breath hold again. So you're getting double breath hold. It's a very powerful technique. And it definitely leads to a great sense of well-being when you practice. Brian says, I understand. Sometimes I like a minute or so, but like 30 seconds makes me stay more focused because it's shorter. I agree. The key, though, with any breath hold, be it 4 seconds or a minute, I should say also, I don't do anything for seconds. I do everything for counts. So when I say 4 count, it doesn't necessarily imply 4 seconds. It implies my count to 4. Not super slow, but I don't speed it up either. One thing with any breath hold, again, from 4 seconds or 4 count to 60 count, is focus on the silence of the breath hold itself. You can put some concentration on the third eye and just relax into that breathless state. This is what Paramahansa Yogananda would call that, the breathless state or the death state. When the heartbeat slows down, the breath is virtually non-existent for that short period of time. And you're literally practicing death. And one thing you realize is that awareness remains. So that which is eternal, that which doesn't die, remains in the breath hold. So Destiny, those are the 4 paths of yoga. Of course, there's other paths, and we'll talk about one. What I think I'll do is, I talk about this quite a bit. Nisargata Maharishi, modern yogi, believe he died in 1981. He wrote the seminal classic, I Am That. Wonderful, beautiful book. Maybe the only book on non-duality that you actually need, with maybe the exception of David Goodman's copy of the Discourses of Ramana Maharishi. Yeah, every teaching, every modern teaching of non-duality is a derivative of I Am That, in my opinion, which doesn't mean much. Anyway, Nisargadatta Maharishi, when he would ask, what do you teach? What is your yoga? What type of yogi are you? His reply was Niskara Yoga. Niskara means natural. A natural yogi. Meaning he resides in the spontaneity of life. What comes up is what comes up. Going through life one moment at a time without having to make anything of it other than devoting himself to that moment, devoting himself to the beauty of simply being alive. That's Niskara Yoga. See, Brian says, I got that part. What is the definition of non-duality? I forgot. One without another is probably the simplest, easiest definition of non-duality. One without another. One without two. That non-duality is our seamless nature. As Cyril Bob Anderson, who was actually a student of Nisargadatta Maharishi, said, what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it? That's non-duality. Just here. Before thought, and even after thought. However, thought lends itself to the appearance of separation. Nothing is truly ever separate. Destiny says, thanks for sharing the 4 paths of yoga. I will go back to the drawing board and study more of these 4 paths. Those are the 4 main paths, but there's always subpaths. There's always footpaths outside the mainstream. Explore them all. As you mentioned in your wonderful, beautiful video, you're a hybrid yogi. That means that you're finding union, you're finding God, you're finding joy, you're being of service in everything you do, from dancing on the treadmill to jumping rope. You're just a yogi on a treadmill dancing. You're just a yogi with a jump rope. That's enough. In Zen, they'll call it the pathless path, the gateless gate. These are just descriptions. In actuality, there's no path. There's just being alive. And that's what Nisargadatta Maharaj said is Niskara Yoga. I'm going to read a little more about that. Highly, highly recommend I Am That. I have 2 copies in my room next door. One right by my bed that I can reach for at any time. And then the other I try to read through the course of however long it takes me. And then I start over and I read again. And it's an indefinite reading. So this is how Niskara Yoga is defined: as living life with harmlessness, friendliness, and interest, abiding in spontaneous awareness while being conscious of effortless living. The practice of this form of yoga involves meditating on one sense of I am, being, or consciousness, with the aim of reaching its ultimate source prior to this sense. Um, Brian Lane says, I'm going to write that down. Could you repeat it, please? um, I can try. I don't know if it will come out exactly the same. Probably the literal definition of non-duality is one, excuse me, guys, one without another, one without two. And it is literally just the realization of everything being seamless. It doesn't split off into different things. It doesn't split off into this and that, this or that. It's simply this, expressing itself as that. Another great definition is in the Buddhist Sutra, the Buddhist Heart Sutra, that emptiness is form, form is emptiness. And I always try to point out the key word is. It doesn't say emptiness becomes form, and it doesn't say emptiness regresses back to, or that emptiness becomes form and that form regresses back to emptiness. It says that emptiness is form. And I always use the example of my desk as I talk about it, because I can pound on it. I can make a sound. And yet, the solidly appearing desk that I use to write every morning, my desktop sits here, my keyboards sit here. Every morning I'm sitting at my desk and I write for an hour or so. 2 or 3 times a week, I stub my toe on this desk. And yet, it's empty. The desk doesn't really exist, only as a concept. In actuality, on a quantum physics level, it's 99 point infinite number 9% emptiness. And yet somehow it appears as a solid desk. Fortunately, because I can't write on emptiness. I can't put my coffee in emptiness. So, emptiness can appear as form. Form is always emptiness, though. That's non-duality. Sorry, I might need to get some water. Destiny says, success consciousness states that non-duality is the philosophy that says there is just one eternal spirit in existence and that everything in the universe is an inseparable part of it. Share yours. I like that definition with the exclusion of philosophy. I like philosophy, but philosophy is a description. It's not the actuality. Non-duality is the actuality. That it's just who and what we are. And we know it on a deep, deep level. But for life to be life, it needs to be in duality. It needs to have the appearance of duality so that we get the pleasure of having a desk. So we get the pleasure of having a tree that we can admire, that we can put our hands on and absorb its energy. Duality gives us each other. And we get to play the game of hide and seek. We get to look in each other's eyes and say, I see you. I see who you really are. I see God. Or as, again, as Mother Teresa said, I see Jesus in all of his distressing disguises. That's the game. That's the game of life. Just hide and seek. God hiding in the appearance of a tree, God hiding in the appearance of a lover, God hiding in the appearance of our children or our parents. And we get to find and discover, rediscover that. Shaney, am I saying that right? Shaney, 2003, 203, says, hello, how are you? Appreciate you being here. Let's see, I don't want to miss any comments. So here are 7 principles of Niskara Yoga, which again is, to me, I would say that, my traditional practice is Raja Yoga, the Eightfold Path of Patanjali's yoga, because I practice the ethical restraints, which I want to talk about in depth sometime. Probably not today, but sometime again, because it's the key to a successful life, I think, in my opinion. You practice non-harm, not because you need to restrain yourself from doing harm, but by practicing non-harmfulness, peace flourishes. By practicing non-stealing, prosperity flourishes. By practicing non-greed, the realization that we have enough for everyone becomes obvious. Those are the reasons why we practice, and that's why it's called a restraint. And it's really a suggestion, different than a commandment. So you have the ethical, the 8 limbs, real quick. Yamas and niyamas, that means ethical restraints, personal observances, cleanliness being the first one, surrender to God being the last one. There's 5 yamas, 5 niyamas. The third is pranayama, our breath work. We're cultivating prana, divine energy, cleansing ourselves, becoming more aware of our subtle body, the subtle body being less than brute force, less than what we're used to dealing with as far as energy is concerned. The fourth limb is asanas, which is the postures. In 195 sutras, depending on who you ask, some say 197, some say 195, Yoga Sutras. Asanas are only mentioned, I believe, 3 times. And they deal with your posture for meditation. And yet somehow the Western world, when you say yoga, all they think about are postures. They neglect the pranayama, they neglect the ethical concerns, and the path of meditation, which comes next. So asanas are important, and they can be a great form of exercise, but they're not yoga. They're just an aspect of yoga. That's why when people say, why don't you teach a live yoga class? I always say, well, one, even though I have the certifications, I'm not a teacher. I'm just a yogi. And 2, all I demonstrate, all I talk about is yoga. That's what this entire thing is about. Every time I talk, if I'm talking along the lines of burpees, if I'm talking in any of my live chats, if I'm talking about, my writing, it's all yoga. So I am teaching yoga, sort of, in a way, in everything that I say. Especially the Niskara Yoga, which I'll get back to in just a moment. This is why I'm not a teacher, because I'm all over the place. Let's see. Brian says, so like non-duality is like being all one with everything. Sort of. Here's the difference, Brian. That there's no one there to say, I am one with everything. There is just everything. That the thought of you is just that, a thought of you. And without that thought, there would just be beingness itself. There would just be non-duality. There would just be I am. Anything that proceeds I am is an appearance within everything, but it's not separate from everything. Brian says, see, I've watched a lot of different videos that were non-duality, but never knew the definition. I think you're onto it now. I think you got it. Maybe in a live talk tomorrow, we'll talk about Douglas Harding and the Headless Way, which is the quickest way of realizing it. It's not even talking about it. You realize it in an instant, and then you just live it. Brian says, like, I'm here, but I'm not. Exactly. You're an appearance. The I that you think you are is an appearance, but who you really are is simply I am. It's simply presence. It's simply the flow of everything. Brian says, yeah, I definitely understand now. Awesome. Destiny says the teacher has to go all over the place to get knowledge and then to give it back out or expel it. I agree. Both my parents were wonderful teachers. So we have the asanas. That's limb number 4. Limb number 5 is pratyahara. By the way, almost every Sanskrit is going to be mispronounced. I don't just mispronounce Sanskrit words. I mispronounce English words. I mispronounce every language, name a language, and I will mispronounce it. It's just the way my mouth works, unfortunately. Then pratyahara means withdrawal of the senses. It means instead of focusing on the outer world, we're taking some time, brief time, to turn the attention inwards and rediscover ourselves. And we do that. You can do it through Yoga Nidra, which I absolutely love. Take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, up to an hour if you want. And all kinds of great videos on YouTube. Someone will guide you through the entire path of Yoga Nidra. It helps to have an external guide because it's so easy, even if you're a seasoned meditator, it's so easy for the mind to go astray. In Tibetan Buddhism, they call it Shepna, which means hook. That we might be quiet, we might be meditating, our minds might be silent, and then a thought just whispers by, but it's enough, and it hooks us, and we get carried away by that thought into this stream of consciousness. We can always come back. It doesn't mean that we've ruined the meditation. That's the process of meditation itself. We always come back. We always come back. The whole art of meditation is simply returning to the already present silence of the mind. So when you have someone guide you through Yoga Nidra, you're relying on them, a trusted guide, to steer you through that path. And another word for Yoga Nidra is yogic sleep. And it's that state, we've all been there, right before we fall asleep, but we're still conscious. And just spending time there. Brian says, I may go in a few. Have my niece's 17th birthday today. Wish everyone a blessed day. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Happy birthday to your niece. 17 is a big year. 16 gets all the attention. 18 sort of means you're an adult. 21, you can go out and drink. 17 sort of forgotten, but you're on that cusp. Just about an adult. You're just starting to discover who you are. Another form of pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, certain breath work where you're closing your eyes. It's the beginning stages of the meditation path, which is the next limb number 6, which is concentration, one point of attention. We're focusing on the breath, we're focusing on the mantra, we're focusing on visualizing something. That's the beginning stage of meditation. The 7th path is absorption, meaning that we are in that non-dual state where we've become absorbed in the object of the meditation itself. Everything slips away, but the mantra still plays through. There's only the breath and the observance of the breath. The last, number 8, is samadhi. Samadhi being bliss consciousness, awakening, enlightenment. And that is when everything drops away. When even the witness to the absorption is gone. When there's no difference between the observer and the observed, there's simply this. Those are the 8 limbs of yoga. Destiny's yoga teacher was trapped in that asana. She wasn't really a yoga teacher. She was teaching the postures. And unfortunately, left a less than positive impression on Destiny. Imagine if she had said, so right now the postures might not be the best way. Let's talk about energy, Destiny. Let's talk about breath work and the subtle energy of prana. Let's talk about surrendering to God. Let's talk about selfless service to others. Let's talk about devotion, or let's talk about any of the other 8 limbs of yoga. Imagine that, and I could just see your heart lighting up if she said, let's forget about the postures and let's talk about God. Hey, our friend Duncan Walsh is here. Hey, Eric and all. Duncan, how are you? Duncan, we're talking about yoga, but as always, the conversation is all inclusive. Whatever comes up. The one thing that we're really talking about is how it's all yoga. Burpees. Burpees yoga. Depending on how you do them. Doesn't mean you have to do them in a special style for them to be yoga. It just means that you're doing them with the awareness of surrendering to the process. Same with squash. When you're playing squash, you're not thinking, I'm going to hit this ball so hard. I'm going to use the next shot that's going to come along. I'm going to use my backhand. I'm going to take 2 steps in this direction and whatever. You're simply playing squash. That's yoga. You're not thinking about playing squash. You're one-pointed attention. You're devoted to it. All of those are aspects of yoga. So if I were to assign a title, much like I said, Destiny is just a yogi dancing on a treadmill. Duncan Walsh, just a yogi playing squash. Duncan Walsh, just a yogi doing a mind-numbing number of jump squats, star jumps, all kinds of crazy stuff. But that would be a really, really long title. So Duncan says, after 1-minute bursts towards the end of my session yesterday, I thought about the breakthrough, but wasn't sure if I could suck in enough air. Yeah, always a concern. I've been noticing that just a bit myself with the Duncan Walsh inspired interval sessions that I've been doing. Duncan Walsh inspired. However, it doesn't mean when I'm doing them that I'm in a deep appreciative mood for Duncan Walsh's inspiration. But afterwards, I'm always thankful. I'm always grateful for the Duncan Walsh inspiration. You know what? When I did my Navy SEAL interval session, and then the next time I did Navy SEALs and I went at a steady pace, it already felt different. Because when you're going all out for 7 reps on the minute, and then when you're doing just 4 or 5 sets a minute, it's definitely felt like a game changer. Duncan says, I have read it is better to inhale through the nose. It is. It's for tons and tons of reasons. It doesn't mean that when you are Doesn't mean that there aren't times when you want to breathe through the nose. If you are in the last quarter mile in a 5K race, 10K race, doesn't matter what race it is, you're sprinting to the finish, breathe any way you can. Take in air through the nose, take in air through the mouth, take in air through the belly button, take in air through your ears. Just take in air. Don't think about it. But when you're training, do the nasal breathing. Duncan said, to be honest, I do remember breathing much more through my nose in a squash match because it looks like you are not breathing so hard to your opponent. It's a good idea. Destiny says, it would all have made a big difference, Eric. Talking about energy and breath work would have drawn me to stay on and pursue learning yoga. Everyone is not the teacher like my instructor. You are? Well, thank you for that, Destiny. I appreciate that. And that's because your instructor herself had a limited view of yoga. She was taught that this is what it is, and so that's the way she taught. But the physical, the asanas, postures, are just such a small aspect of yoga and should not be the entire point of a yogic path. Because then it just becomes unbalanced, which is definitely not yoga. Yoga is all about not finding balance, but balancing. When we're balanced, it's only temporary anyway, but we're always balancing. And that makes life so much more enjoyable, knowing that sometimes you're going to tip over a little too far, but you right yourself. Sometimes when you right yourself, you tip in the other direction too far, but you come back. You keep coming back, you keep coming back, you keep coming back. The path of yoga is just about surrendering. Duncan says, did you get a chance to look at the Life Pro multi-purpose Roman chair? I have not. You know what though? Since I got Amazon up in a window, I did, however, mention it in a birthday conversation. So we'll see. The seed has been planted. Although I've also mentioned several times, because of my new love and passion for doing the nature shorts, such a huge breakthrough I had with doing those shorts, by the way. There might be a camera in the works as well. Life Pro, multi-purpose. The first thing that came up was the hip thrust machine. That looks like a pretty good machine. Not really a machine, equipment. Oh, I see one for $104. Now I see another one, different, not Life Pro, for $79. Life Pro's got a good name though. So I got that saved, Duncan. So it is in my it's a good looking piece of equipment. I don't know as I would do anything other than the back extensions, although the sit-ups look interesting. Duncan says an offer on 67.49. I'll have to look for that. Yep, $104. That's not a bad price at all. If I'm not mistaken, I've had something from Life Pro before. Um, yep, picture of a lady on it. Well, there's actually 4 pictures. It says Life Pro Roman chair, hyperextension bench, back extension machine for glute, hamstring, lower back, multi-purpose adjustable exercise equipment, foldable for home gym fitness. Duncan, I did squat chasers for the first time today, and we'll see how the back feels tomorrow. I think for now, I'm gonna save them for my 10-minute burpee sets after I do my dips and my chins, and then eventually add them back in on a regular basis, 20-minute sets and stuff like that. So Destiny, I want to read one more thing on the Niskara Yoga. These are the 7 principles of Niskara Yoga. And again, Niskara simply means natural. Non-identification and right understanding, interest and earnestness, spontaneity and effortlessness, attentiveness to being, right action, going within to go beyond, awareness of self. Number 3, spontaneity and effortlessness. I absolutely love. That seems to be where things are unfolding for me right now at this moment. Duncan says, okay, yes, see how the back is. I will send you the link. I see the comments now. I'm checking it out again. You can do quite a bit with it. Duncan says, I see 67. What I saw was 104, which is still pretty good. So with the Niskara Yoga, that seems to be the natural path that eventually everyone ends up. It's just a curiosity of life. Being curious, being enthusiastic about everything. No, it doesn't mean that you absolutely love every aspect. If you don't like Brussels sprouts, the realization of Niskara Yoga won't make you love Brussels sprouts. However, you might choose to eat them out of the curiosity, out of a spontaneous arisal of, I wonder if this tastes any different. Or it's just how life simply arises, moment by moment by moment, and you find yourself doing the right action each and every time. Even if that right action seems to produce a mistake, because it only leads to other moments, and other moments, and other moments, and other moments. And so we proceed all through life with that natural, spontaneous effortlessness, that curiosity, the simple joy. And then when you have that attitude, not really an attitude, more of who you are naturally, even mistakes just seem part of the curiosity. You no longer punish yourself for making a mistake. It's probably the best way to describe it. You no longer have that self-dialogue of condemnation. You know, when you stub your toe and you say something, that was stupid. Why did I leave that here? I can't believe I did that. Or anything like that. When we get in an argument with our spouse or with someone else, and then we walk away and we think, I can't believe I reacted that way. Those things still happen, but the condemnation, the I can't believe I was that stupid, become absent. Or we're aware of that condemnation. We're aware of that, and we become more willing to smile at all of it. That's just the voice. It's not me. It's not who I am. That's just the ego making noise, calling me stupid, calling itself stupid. But it's not the actuality of what's going on. Destiny says, Eric, what do you know about hybrid yoga? And what are your thoughts on that? It makes sense. Basically, the hybrid yoga seems to be sort of a self-serving title, a description of bringing the yogic awareness to everything you do. Hybrid itself meaning that it's an offshoot of something else. I sort of like to thinking of it as seamless yoga, that your yoga becomes everything that you do. Or I love the way you put it in your video, it's who you are. Yoga isn't what you do, it's who you are. With that in mind, everything you do becomes yoga. Lifting weights, especially when you start seeing those deeper aspects that yoga is simply the remembrance of God in everything we do, because it's who we are. We are self-remembering in each and every moment, in each and every effort that we commit to. So when you come to the treadmill, you're simply surrendering to the joy of being on a treadmill. That's yoga. That's a yogi on a treadmill. When it comes to jumping rope, when it comes to the the kangaroo boots? Duncan, have you seen those kangaroo boots? Have you ever tried those before? Then it's simply, it's almost like you're taking the hybrid out of the equation, because it's all-inclusive. You're embracing your all-inclusive nature, which means that everything you do is an aspect of your yoga. So hybrid yoga, to me, is the absolute same as the description of Niskara yoga. It means you're just realizing that everything you do is the unfolding path of yoga. It's a beautiful description. And it's sort of amazing that it came to you spontaneous like that. That, you know, that little inkling of intuition that whispers to us. I think I mentioned before, and this is right when I quit drinking, 1999. And I had just finished meditation. I had stood up, I had gone into the bathroom, brushing my teeth or getting water or something, probably getting water. And I remember thinking as I stood up for meditation, I need an answer to what do I do now that I don't drink, now that I am, the place where I had worked was in a fire, it would burn down, I was out of a job. no idea what to do. And I had a clear, intuitive thought, teach yoga. And I remember mentioning that to the person I was with at the time. And she thought, well, you could do, you can get your yoga certification and be a teacher. And I just knew that it didn't mean teach yoga postures. I knew it didn't mean become a yoga instructor. Again, I just had that intuitive feeling. What it meant was basically doing what I'm doing now. Talk about yoga. Introduce the path of yoga, the real path, the true path, the ancient path. I can use yoga asanas as a way to that introduction. I can use breath work. I can use meditation. But all of it is part of yoga. And I knew that my path was more the pranayama and the ethical concerns and the path of meditation, because it was meditation that led me there. It was meditation that led me to quit drinking, to a life of sobriety, and continues to do so now. My entire life is based upon my meditation practice. My asanas, the postures that I do every morning become a seamless expression of my meditation. Especially the style that I've been more and more drawn to lately, which is more of a vinyasa, more of a yogic flow, versus the hatha yoga that I had been practicing before, where I'm holding a posture for an extended period of time. So, all right. With that, I think, I hit an hour. It's a lot of talking. That's a lot of listening. I appreciate it, you guys. Destiny says, thanks for sharing info on the different types of yoga. I never heard of hybrid yoga until yesterday when I was asking the question, can you be a yogi without doing yoga? You know what? It was revealed to you. That's your term. I don't even know if Destiny said, my spirit said hybrid yoga. I don't even know if you need to look anything up about hybrid yoga, because I think it's meant for you alone. That there might be other things called hybrid yoga, but I think that you are discovering Destiny Forever Walk's PhD's path of hybrid yoga. This is your path to define and how you offer it to yourself and to others. So every other definition out there might be helpful, but always know and remember this was given to you as a gift to make it completely your own. It is what it is. Saying hi to Duncan, and yeah, I was surprised to see he's still here. This is long one. It is. I'm absolutely surprised that some people have hung in with me this long. I think maybe they have fallen in some sort of hypnotic state due to my halting talking manner, and they can't break themselves away from the conversation. Or more likely, they walked away and they're making lunch right now. But you know what? I appreciate everyone being here 100%. So, Destiny says, thanks, Eric, and everyone for the chat, for a great time. Thank you. Awesome fellowship and powerful discussion. Much love, everyone. Enjoy your day. You too. Lewis, thanks for stopping back. I appreciate it. Duncan, thank you for being here. Brian, of course. And, man, all my many new friends that popped in. I'll be back this evening, probably about 5:10, 5:15, and do a live reading of something. Don't know what yet. You can leave a suggestion if you want. I can read about nature. I can read about science. I can read about yoga, how it all ties together. So again, I appreciate everyone. Lewis, looking forward to seeing some reps. As always, I expect we got a 5-pump session coming up soon. And Duncan, let me know how if you pursue with some of the nasal breathing on some of your sets. I think it's really hard doing it in that explosive style. When I do Navy SEALs, I get that air hunger really, really quick. I'm predicting 5 pumps with ankle weights. It's just, I'm seeing it. I'm visualizing it. So, all right, guys. I'll see everyone later. Thanks again.